But let us start. Welcome everyone to this webinar on nervousness and anxiety when speaking in public. It's a big topic. And as I was preparing for this webinar, I was thinking, oh, how can I squeeze all this thing about nervousness and anxiety and being in control of speaking in public in just 1 hour webinar, but I'm going to do my best. My name is Björn and I am a theater maker, and I use theater techniques we have in the theater also to help people on other stages, to help them with storytelling, with being confident when speaking, delivering a powerful message, convincing others, sharing ideas, and for that training your instrument, so to say, to do that, to deliver these messages. And I give all kinds of workshops and coachings. And since almost a year now, I give once a month a webinar like this to share some of my expertise. And as said, today's focus is on nervousness, because so many people that join in for my workshops and courses, they join in because they have this fear of speaking in public. And preparing for this webinar, I read a research that said that 75% of people actually fear speaking in public. This is a lot. Yeah. So if you also fear speaking in public, which could be the case since you've joined this webinar, you are not alone. It is a tense situation, right? Speaking in front of others, you feel not completely in control. You're afraid of the judgment of others. You're not really sure what to do. And I think it's mainly this feeling of not being completely in control of this situation and not being in control of the outcome, what creates nervousness, right? So that's why today I want to focus on 3 main things. First, look into how can you prepare yourself in a way for presentations or public speaking moments in a way that you feel more secure, more confident about your message. So we dive a little bit into the preparation. Then we look at what is the best mindset to deal with nervousness, because I'm going to disappoint you. Also, after this webinar, you still will be nervous the next time you speak in public. Yeah, I cannot take the nervousness away, but I can help you maybe look at it a bit differently. So instead of starting to fight the nervousness, see it as an energy that's giving you to perform. So we look at mindset. And finally, I want to look into how to coach yourself a bit, because we focus so much on what you do not want to do, what can go wrong, how can you create more active suggestions, as I call it. So that's very important. That's connected to this mindset. And one thing I also want to look into is, if you get nervous, how can you deal with it at that moment? Yeah, although you might be very well prepared, you have the right mindset, you know what to do, it still overcomes you. How I can maybe give you a few tips and tricks on how to deal with that nervousness, like physically, what you can do, some breathing exercises. So we'll also be looking into that. Feel free to always ask questions, interrupt me if something is up, just raise your hand or shout at me, and I'm happy to try to answer your questions today. So first thing, as we said, being nervous has to do with the feeling of not being completely in control of that situation. And this has to do probably also with the way how you prepare for your presentation. Many people that I work with start a presentation, preparing for the presentation with preparing their PowerPoint slides. Yeah, you first start with your slides. You start with what is all the information that I want to deliver. From now on, I want you to stop doing that. No, don't look at what is the information that I want to deliver, but look at what is my message. Why am I actually going to give this presentation? Or why do I want to speak up in this meeting? It can be any kinds of situation where you have to speak up and share your idea. So focus not only on the information that you want to deliver, but mainly focus on the why. Why is this important to you? And why do you believe this is important to your audience? And by focusing completely on this why, you build another Security, another point of confidence, because your message should be your point of confidence. Not so much on memorizing all the information that you want to share, but feeling very confident in knowing, why am I actually here? What is my value? What do I have to offer? Yeah, why is this important to me? And from that big question, why, you can start to structure your presentation. And every chapter in your communication should have a core message. So you have your core message of your chapter. To that core message, you add an example that illustrates this message, and you have a conclusion. And if you have this, like containers, I call them, or chapters prepared very well, you can speak freely within every chapter. And you go from message to message to message. And I'm diving into this structure already in the beginning, because the feeling of having to give an entire presentation, having to give a good presentation, can be super overwhelming, because it's a very big assignment to yourself. But knowing that you have maybe 4 or 5 containers in your presentation, and you know message 1, and you know example 1, and you know conclusion 1, that you can deliver. And you know message 2, you know example 2, and you know conclusion 2, and that you can deliver. So each subcategory, that's what you have prepared. That's what you know very well. You know your message, you know your example, and you know why you're delivering this. This gives another feeling of security than hanging on to a script. Many people that I know script their presentation, and they write it all out. And then they go through this written text, because that gives them security, because at least they know what they are saying. But because you're so focused on following your script, you're not so focused anymore on sharing why it matters to you, why it cares to you, why do you think this is important. So it's much better to prepare your presentation with messages, with containers. I have message 1, I have message 2, and I have message 3. And this you should internalize. These messages and this structure, that you should know by heart. But then within the container, you can speak much more freely, because you know why this matters to you, right? You are the expert in this field. That is why you are presenting. So you know what to talk about in that container. And then if you have your structure ready, then you practice out loud. And this is something not so many people do. Yeah, you maybe read over your presentation, you do it in your head a few times, you maybe visualize it or think it, but not so many people practice literally out loud. And this really helps so much. Do your presentation out loud a few times to hear yourself speak. And every time you do it, change it a little, play with the words, and all the time reconnect to your message. Because this practicing out loud, this is where you can create confidence. This is where you feel more secure, right? You have heard yourself saying it a few times, and then you find the right words, you know what to say, you know where to play with. So by practicing it like this, I hope you gain another way of security or of confidence with your content. Yeah, so not so much focused on what are all the facts that I need to deliver, because then there's the fear of forgetting something, fear of saying something wrong, the fear of going off script, right? This is a big fear for many people when presenting. But if you have your structure and your messages clearly, and you know why you're delivering it, then nothing can go wrong, because you can always go back to the structure that you have prepared. And this builds up another way of security. And practice out loud, practice out loud, practice out loud. Yeah, so I cannot say that enough. Magda.
May I? I wanted to ask you about what would you recommend, what would you advise to people who have this general blockage speaking publicly, that maybe that is not that much related to being prepared or not.
Mm-hmm.
Students that I work with, they often tell me that when they need to present something, that they, even if they are prepared and they have the structure of the keywords, I work with keywords with them also. So
Mm-hmm.
they note down
Mm-hmm.
like 5 most important words that I have to say about the project. And then they say quite irrational things, but I think we can all somehow relate things like, I don't know, like I fear that like my voice sounds stupid, or like
Mm-hmm.
I look stupid when I speak, or I do weird things with my hands. And I think that for them, and maybe for me also in some way, it's not as much as like the fear of saying something wrong or stupid, but that I will be seen as da da da. So I guess more this judgment thing around things that I have no control of. Like I
Yeah.
can change the sound of my voice, right?
Yeah. So this is the fear of judgment, right? The fear of the judgment of the audience. And the audience isn't there to judge you. Yeah, the audience is here to listen to what you have to say. So that's why I start with this preparation, because your focus should go towards your message. What do I have to say? What do I have to offer? What is my value? And let them judge on that. Yeah. So let them judge on what you are giving them and not so much on who you are. This is, of course, that is why it is so scary, yeah, to present or to speak in public, because all eyes are on you and it is you standing there and it is the judgment of you that you fear. But you cannot change you. You can only change your behavior, right? You can change what you do. So maybe go to one other point, and that is the point of active suggestions. We are very good at judging ourselves. Yeah, what you say, I move weird, I say too much. I get red in the face. I should not forget something. I should not do this. I should not do that. So there's a lot of things you tell yourself that you do not want to do. In all my workshops and my coachings, I work on reframing these do nots into, but what are you going to do? Right? So if you have a tendency to speak way too fast during a presentation because of nervousness, you speak way too fast. You can tell yourself, do not speak fast, but that is blocking you in sharing your energy and sharing your, because you speak fast because maybe you're enthusiastic about what you do, right? So there's a positive energy underneath. And if you start to push that down, you will get stuck. And that's also where your body starts to do weird movements, but we come to that later on. So try to rephrase that and say, okay, what I'm going to focus on is building in pauses between my messages, for example. That is an activity that you can give yourself, an active assignment. Or I'm going to focus, if I know that I fidget during my presentation, I'm using my hands and it's because I'm nervous and I don't know what to do with them. Instead of saying, don't fidget, say, I'm going to use my hands to emphasize important words. Only that. Just use your hands to emphasize important words. And all of a sudden, you speak completely different and with much more confidence. So turn these do nots around in do's, in activities and in assignments for yourself is a big jump forward in that you're being perceived much more confident, but also in the confidence for yourself, because this behavior, what you do, that's what you can change.
Makes sense. Yeah.
You cannot change. The one thing you cannot control is the judgment of others, right? All you can do is show why you care about this. That's your job. Right? It's not your job to be the best presenter or to look perfect, to do whatever. Your job is to show that you care about this topic. That's what you can do. So, and also I think maybe it's good to tell them that the audience isn't here to judge you. The audience here is because they're curious what you have to say. The audience is here because they're curious about the content that you are delivering, about your message. Right? So that's But
I guess
that's
that's,
easier said than done, right? That is why it is so
yeah,
scary. Yeah.
because most often is that the audience is there because they have to be there because it's their
This
task,
is, of course, another situation with the
or
students. Yeah,
the
I get
audience
that.
is there because it's their job to be there, and they would rather do something else, but they have to show up on the meeting.
Yeah, well, then you better show them why it matters to you,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
That's all you can do. Show them why it matters to you. And if you build security in that, build confidence in that is your assignment, to show that it matters. Let it matter. Because what we often do is when we are a bit afraid or when we are a bit nervous, we start to downplay. Yeah, lower the expectations, because if you raise the expectation, you have to meet up to the expectations. So we start to non-verbally act a bit cool, as if we don't care. Yeah, whatever, I didn't really prepare today, but I'm going to tell it anyway. I'll do my best. Yeah, I don't really care if you listen or not. So this downplaying mode is a security mechanism, right? To not raise the bar too high so you don't have to meet up with that expectation. But what it does, it lowers the expectations of your audience. And you don't want that, because it lowers their opinion, it lowers their connection. So if you don't care about what you're saying, why should your audience care about it?
Yeah, of course.
So it has an opposite effect. So way better is to say, ooh, I am nervous, I am excited, yeah, to share this. Show that, let it matter. And that's much more dangerous than if it doesn't matter, but it's much more interesting.
Yeah,
So
and it's
I think
difficult
that
to,
happens a lot with the students, that they start to downplay it. And
yeah. And I think I like that point because it's something that it's difficult to argue with. If you start the presentation with this, that's your message, like that's something I really care about. That's a project I like. How can they disagree with it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice point.
So take your opinion and why you burn for this as the starting point of your presentation. The way you prepare it, but also the way you deliver it.
Yeah.
Because that's always true. Yeah. And then be curious about views of others on that subject. Because if you care about the subject, if it matters to you, then you should also care about others' opinions about this topic. And that doesn't mean that is a judgment of you, but it's interesting to get into exchange with different views about the topic that you care about. So care about the topic is very important. And this goes a lot to the background when you get overwhelmed with nervousness. So maybe a good bridge to mindset, because that's what we're talking about now, actually. Like, with what mindset do you go into a presentation when you're nervous? And nervousness is adrenaline. Yeah, it's your body giving you adrenaline. It's hormones, and they're taking over your body. You tense up, your heartbeat raises, you get sweaty hands, your pupils widen. So it's a physical reaction. And it becomes a problem if you want to hide that. Yeah, so nervousness on stage is a problem if you think, oh no, now people see that I'm nervous, and then you become nervous, that people see that you're nervous. What makes you nervous? Blah, yeah, this loop. You get more and more nervous because as if your job is to show that you're not nervous. That is not your job. It is your job to show that it matters. So nervousness is a sign from your body that it matters what you're doing. So it's giving you energy. Adrenaline is energy. It's waking you up. You get into focus. It's your body telling you, okay, it matters to me. I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to show that it matters to me. So instead of trying to not show that you're nervous, use it and replace nervousness with excitement. I'm excited. I'm excited to do this. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to share this with you. And show your excitement instead of hiding it. So I think that is the best way to look at nervousness, as excitement. There's, of course, a difference between nervousness and anxiety. Yeah, because if it's too much, if the adrenaline is too much, you can go into fight, flight, freeze mode, and that takes up all the capacity in your brain. Yeah, you cannot think anymore. You black out. Your body completely freezes. You don't know what to do anymore. And this is a state where you cannot function. And if you start to push out of that, you only make it worse. So if you get in from, so nervousness is cool, nervousness is excitement. There is a situation where it becomes anxiety. And then you need to try to recognize it. I am getting into fight, flight, freeze mode. I need to tell my body to get out of that. Yeah. And you do that by physically relaxing. So you do that by breathing out, for example. You breathe out, and by breathing out, you tell your body and with that your brain, okay, the fear is gone. We can function normal again. Yeah, we don't have to go into panic mode. We can go down. So breathing out really helps. Often when we prepare for speaking, we breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in. Yeah, because you pile up tension, you pile up tension. You probably know this feeling. You pile up tension and you think, oh, I'm breathing in, but there's no air coming in anymore because you're only focusing on breathing in, and that builds up tension, and you never really breathe out. So a good way to prepare for speaking is breathing out instead of breathing in. So this signals your brain, okay, you can go out of this panic mode. And it's good to acknowledge it. I am panicking. So before you continue, get out of panic mode. Have some water, or in my case, tea, because my heater broke down, beside you, and take a sip. And then you have time and relax, and you can go back. Yeah. So instead of trying to push through in this, so it's what they call in psychology, you're outside of the window of opportunity. So you cannot function in that situation. You cannot function in that state. So the first thing you need to do is get out of that state. Breathing is a very good moment, a very good tool for that, breathing out, but also knowing where in your body do you pile up tension. Many people, it's the shoulders, yeah, where tension piles up, the neck, the jaws, the hands. I can also sometimes, my feet, I cramp my feet, my toes, I curl my toes when I'm very tense. So you have particular body parts where you tense up easily. If you know that from yourself, and you know I am going into panicking or I'm getting too much tense, go to that one spot where you know you tense up and release that part. Like just so if you know it is in your shoulders, release your shoulders. If you know it's in your jaws, release your jaws. Again, this signals your brain, no need to panic anymore because you're relaxed, everything should be okay. But you need to take time for this to first get into a bit more relaxed state. And then you can see nervousness as excitement again, instead of as something that gives you panic. But it's good to recognize it and acknowledge it. Panic, big fear. It doesn't work to say to yourself, oh, don't panic. It's all going to be fine. Yeah, because then you say, it's not important what's going on here. No, you want to go back to it is important what's going on here, and I'm going to do the best I can. And for that, I have my preparation. So it is in this way all connected. So we jumped a bit from mindset to what to do in a state of panic. I'm looking at my notes to see, because I'm jumping through my own structure now, so I need to get back on track a little bit. So we also talked with mindset on that your mindset should be, it is not about you giving a perfect presentation. That is not your job. Yeah. First of all, perfection is boring. Nobody wants to see a perfect presentation. What is even a perfect presentation? When is it perfect? It is your assignment and your job to show that you care about this topic and share that with your audience. That is your job in your presentation. And that's the value that you have to deliver. That's the benefit you have for your audience. And so instead of focusing so much on what do I need to do on stage to be perfect, so get the focus off from you as an individual to what do you have to offer, right? What is your message? And what you have to offer is the content, is the message, and is your passion, I would say, or your emotional connection to this topic. That is what you have to offer, and that is what you can show. So this is a good mindset to have. Any questions on mindset?
Do you think that it matters also? I mean, it would be nice to fully believe it that it's not about us as individuals, but it's about the content of what we say. But I think that observing students, that when they have their final exams, for example, when they're defending their thesis, these who deliver the best presentations are also people who are physically prepared, like they wear a nice outfit, they have their hair done, and you can tell that I think it does help. And then there are guys who worked like all night until last minute, and they don't even have time to like really iron the shirt.
Yeah.
And it
So
matters, or you think it's just also a personality type, that there are people who will be at ease regardless?
for me, that is connected to
How much should be that encouraged? Like, I wonder if, yeah, this makes sense for me to tell them, for example, like, make sure you wear something you like. So, because I feel like they're rolling their eyes. But I think it matters, right?
So maybe that differs a bit from person to person, what makes them feel more comfortable and also more authentic, connected to how they want to present themselves. So I would definitely recommend everybody to wear that outfit that you feel comfortable in representing yourself in that situation. But it has to do with focusing not only on the content in your preparation, but also focusing on the delivery. Yeah, and this is something we talked a bit like this before, like focusing on this active suggestion. So what is going to be your behavior on stage? Yeah, because having a really great content and a really great message is one thing, but if you don't know how to deliver it, if you don't know how to bring that across, then it's still not a comfortable place to be in on that stage, right? So the focus should not only be on what are you gonna say and why you say this, but also on the how. And but this asks also training. Yeah, you need to train your delivery. And the quickest way to have a strong and powerful delivery is focusing on why does it matter to you? Because if you start showing that it matters to you, you start to emphasize, you start to have an open body position, you start to create dynamics in the voice. So that's a quick route towards that. That's why I focus so much on that. But of course, training your instrument in the delivery gives you also a feeling of being in control of that situation because you know how to use your hands. Yeah, you know how to use facial expression. You know what it means to emphasize words. You know what it means to slow down when something important is coming up. You know how to use breaks. You know how to create contact with individuals. So this is why I said in the beginning, it's not such an easy topic to say, how do you get rid of nervousness? Because it's the whole package is involved, right? Also the whole delivery. So focusing also on training your delivery skills is what will bring you in a more comfortable state on stage, of course, because you know what you're going to do. So you're more in control.
If you have the chance to practice in front of the audience, like the same material, right? You don't always get the chance unless you just organize your audience.
So you mean practicing your delivery with a live audience?
Yeah.
That's of
I
course
mean,
luxury.
for me, as a lecturer, I see that when I lecture the first time, something new, I'm always a little bit more stressed. And then when it's like second year doing the same with a new group, I already expect the reactions. Usually they're quite same, unless I don't know. Like usually they're quite same, so I already know and I can relax. But
Yeah, because you're more in control, right? You know what's gonna happen. Yeah.
But I guess you don't always have the opportunity to train in front of big audience.
No.
Yeah, and you can
No,
just
but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a big audience to practice your delivery skills. Right? You can practice your delivery skills in one-on-one conversations. You can practice your storytelling skills if somebody asks you, "How was your weekend?" Yeah, if you know that using your hands is something that you struggle with, you can start to practice it in all your communications, and then you get the hang of it. But it is good to try to figure out what is the behavior that I'm showing in uncomfortable situation, what behavior comes to the surface. And instead of then starting to judge yourself for this behavior, think, what other behavior do I actually want to show? And if you have that clear for yourself, then you can start to train it. And then you can train your instrument. But yeah, then you should join my 6-week cohort course, Magda. And I can tell you all about it.
Any discounts for friends?
Of course.
Email me.
I will. So, but I think it's good what you say, Magda. So it's not only about being super comfortable with the content, with the message, but also being comfortable with yourself delivering this, right?
I guess whatever helps, right? Whatever helps at this point.
Yeah, but still, I think it is good to be aware of that. Only focusing on what you're going to say is not going to help you completely in that situation, because your delivery is a big part of it. And that's why I also say practice out loud, because in this practicing out loud, you train your delivery automatically. You can practice in front of a mirror. If you feel comfortable, you can record yourself practicing with video, but be careful, because this is often at first a big shock. Oh, what you say, oh, I look so weird, my voice sounds so weird, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And you, most of the time, the first time you watch yourself, you go into this judgment side, and you want to get away from that and start to look objectively to what behavior are you seeing that you are showing that is beneficial to your delivery. What are you doing that you say, hey, this shows that I care, this makes it clear, I think this is attractive to people. And what is the behavior? Yeah, so what are you doing? And then you look into what behavior am I actually showing that could be distracting or could make me look less confident. And then instead of saying, do not show that behavior, think, what behavior do I want to show instead? And then you have your active suggestions. And if you're able to do that, then it is good to record yourself and give yourself feedback. But if you have the feeling, it makes me less confident than ever, I would maybe first do it a few times, feel a bit more comfortable, and then think, I want to focus on a few details that I want to improve. And then that's maybe a better moment to record yourself. Yeah. So of course it is a good tool, to become aware of what you're doing. But the danger is that if you're too insecure in the beginning, is that you only are aware of what you do wrong and you don't have an answer to it, right? And then it won't help you in that situation. It won't help you. Another thing to do when nervous, because what nervousness does with the body, it creates tension. That is why often we have such a weird voice when we're nervous. This is all tense and it gets thin and it's harder to express yourself. The best way to get rid of nervousness is to move, because you get rid of the tension when you move. So before an important meeting, before something important that you do, don't sit down and overthink it. Move, walk it out, jump up and down, get rid of the tension in your body, and then the energy starts to flow, and then you can start to use it. So tension is being released by movement. And this is something very good to know. Also during a presentation, if you feel yourself stiffening up, take a few steps. Yeah, start walking, walk it out. Start using your hands, roll with your shoulders, because this is where you can get flowing again and get going again. Because the danger of nervousness is us tensing up, getting down, getting more inwards, and being less able to deliver.
Hmm. You know what I once heard, that something very like empowering for the body. I don't know if it's for nervousness, but for, I guess could be also for any like blockage or stress. That and I tried it once and it worked pretty well for me, was to do this like victory,
The power pose. Yeah.
which is apparently something like very, how to put it, like biological reaction, meaning that even there has been a research on this, that blind people who do sports, like they also have this gesture, like they reach a finishing line or something, and they do that also. That this is like a, yeah, it must be something. And
Okay, if they make it such a, yeah. So when in many of my coaching or workshops, I work on taking in space. Yeah, what we often do when we're nervous or not so sure is you make yourself smaller, and non-verbally you're all the time saying sorry for taking your time. Yeah, and when you do this, you say, I'm taking up space because I'm worth it. Yeah, because what I have to say is worth it. So I'm happy that you have your attention for me now. And that's a completely other attitude. And I think this pose is also that, yeah, take in space. I'm taking in all the space. And because I allow myself this space, and this is less than this, and the body feels that. So I think, yeah, I wouldn't always go on stage like this before presentation. You know, it's maybe sends the wrong signal, but
it has been advised in a talk that I watched to, like, when you feel like insecure, down, you go to the bathroom and you literally stand like for like a minute or so. And then like I did that once before a difficult phone call where I
did
had
it help?
Yes. I never repeated that. I guess I forgot, but I felt like I was scared to make this phone call. I was at work and I went to the bathroom and I stood like this.
Yeah.
And then I did the phone call and it did help. I think so, yes.
Yeah. What you say, whatever helps, right?
Yeah.
So, but of course, it is. I strongly also believe in the physical reaction to feelings and emotions and stress. And if you can have your physical reaction respond to that, that is very powerful.
So it's important that we stand, right? When we're
Yes. Of course, that's not all in every situation. Like maybe sometimes in a meeting, it might feel weird to stand up. Yeah. So, but if I do online meetings and sessions, I always stand up and have the camera on eye level, because then I can use my entire instrument for the delivery, right? I can show my energy.
You do now?
I stand up, yes.
Okay. I thought you were sitting.
No, I'm standing. If you sit actively. Sarah is sitting actively. Very good. Yeah, so you have a straight, open shoulders, a straight back, and it helps to sit a bit more in front of your chair, so you have your energy there. Because as soon as you let your energy sink, it is super hard to come out and deliver.
That's ballet and singing.
Very good. Yes, physical training helps. Pilates, ballet, singing, all good. Yes, very good. So you also know about training your instruments.
So my position wrong for presenting, like being like a
Yes. For presenting, yes. But this is so you're actively here, you're interested, but if you would have to deliver a message, I would, be more active. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And this is more conversational. So, and if at a certain point you end up like this, it doesn't matter, but it's always good to start and say, okay, I have open body position, so open shoulders, hands open, hands ready to speak, eye contact. And this is the best way to communicate and also to exchange emotion, even through cameras and screen. So that is important. Now we're talking about connecting with your audience a little bit. That's also something that can get you off guard, during a presentation. I don't know, you're presenting and you see two people checking their phones. One is yawning, almost falling asleep, and you're all there like showing that it matters to you, and you have the feeling it doesn't matter to anyone that I'm speaking to. This can make you feel really insecure. Try to look in that situation for friendly faces. Yeah, there are always friendly faces in the audience. My friendly face in this Zoom meeting are Magda and Sarah, because they have their camera on and they're like visually responding to what I'm saying. This is helpful. Yeah, I can see, it landed what I say. You say yes and you nod, and I think, okay, good. It came across. So if you have a bigger audience, choose 5 to 8 anchor points in the room, one in the left, one in the right, one in the middle, 2 in the back, with nodders. I call them the nodders. Yes, you always have nodders in the room, and that's super pleasant because they help you with the pacing. Yeah, you see that it lands, so you have this little breaks, you have this moments of check-in, and they help you in giving you the confidence. Ignore the ones on their phones, ignore the ones yawning. Don't start to push to get them in, because you don't know what the reason is that they're not completely involved at that moment. Maybe something is going on outside of this meeting that you have no idea of. Maybe they had a horrific night. Maybe they have kids in the kita and they are sick and the kita was closed and they couldn't bring them, or whatever. Yeah, you don't know. It's not always your fault that people are not listening. So it helps to get the positive people on your side, and by that the energy will spread. Also, some people don't show that they are super interested, but maybe they are making notes, right? You don't know what is going on in their head. But if it distracts you, ignore them and focus on the positive ones, on the nodders. Another thing that could happen when you're in a presentation, you're speaking, and nervousness kicks in and you black out. There's a big fear, I think, for many people giving presentations, a completely back out. You don't know what is next. And you start to think, what's next, what's next, what next? Yeah. Many people start to run through their presentation for the exit in the hope that what they said was right, because the focus is on what's next, what's next, what next. But that's not helping you. The answer to what's next is behind you. A better question to ask yourself when blacking out is, what did I just say? Where were we? Let me summarize. So why have I been telling you this? And you just go into a summary of what you've been saying, and the next point will pop up. Yeah, so acknowledge the fact that you got off track, for example, acknowledge the fact that you don't know what's next, but the answer is behind you. So when you lose track, always go back. And if you have this technique built in, this also gives you so much confidence, because you can always give a little summary or give us a quick explanation, a quick conclusion, and you can get back on track. A very powerful tool to use. I want to ask a question in the room, because a few fears or insecurities that we have spoken of, but maybe you can help me by answering the question, like, what if, yeah? What are you afraid of? What should I do when? What if I forget something? Or what if and maybe together we find answers to this what if questions. Because if you have all your what if questions answered, there's nothing to be afraid of anymore. Is there anyone who would like to share a fear they might have when speaking in public? Can also be in the chat.
Well, I can.
Yes, please, Magda.
But I'm also, I don't want to take too much of the space. So,
I know, let's turn on your camera. Maybe you
yeah.
can go first.
Yeah, actually, one of the things I'm afraid of, you mentioned like right at the beginning. And so I'm just sitting here and be like, oh, this is interesting. This has been helpful. And maybe there's more. But the thing that I'm afraid of is like, because usually when there's like, it's a big meeting, it's really important. I really care about this. I start to get very, very nervous and sweaty. And then also like physically shake. I've been coined Shaky Bunny by a friend. We hugged up, but I was still shaking. That's the level of shake. And you told just to move around, to take breaths, and I think I never thought of that. I actually never thought like. Usually when this happens, I just sit or I like tense up standing.
Yeah, and you tense up, and your body wants to get rid of this energy that's been built up, and that's why it shakes. Yeah, it's your body saying, get rid of the energy, do something with my energy. And you start to fight the shaking, but it only gets worse. Yeah, so shake. If your body wants to shake, but shake controlled, right? That's the answer. Yeah.
Thank you.
And breathe it out. What if I start speaking super fast because I'm nervous? Yes, Natalie, many people in my workshops have that issue. And the problem is that it doesn't help to say slow down. And that doesn't really work. But what really helps is to build in active breaks. And that is after each message or each block of information, you ask your audience if they got it. So I do this exercise a lot in workshops. So you deliver a sentence and they out loud say, got it? Okay. And if you get the confirmation from the audience, then you continue. This is an exercise to do, but then if you've done it a few times, you can leave out the got it, but think these moments of checking in. So you use your audience to create active breaks. And these active breaks will help you control your pacing, because it's not so bad. Speaking fast is not so bad, but speaking fast continuously and connecting everything so that people cannot follow you anymore and don't know what you're saying, then it becomes a problem. And if you only tell yourself to slow down, it takes away your energy and your passion. So better is to focus on active breaks. Is that helpful to you, Natalie? Yes, great. Thank you. Any other fears?
If there's no one, I can talk.
Yes, please, Magda.
I sometimes think when I'm lecturing that I guess I fear, what if nobody cares to the extent that I care, or not even close to the extent that I care? And I might, that means like, I guess like my mind goes like, this is like poorly prepared lecture or whatever. Like, I know that it's interesting, but I'm thinking, oh, maybe like not even the question of things being interested, but relevance. What if it's just not relevant for them?
Yeah.
And like they don't find this useful. And then means I'm not, I'm not doing the job that I'm supposed to, because like
I don't know.
So you're not sure if the message that you're delivering has value to your
I know
audience.
it has to me. I have
Yeah.
no doubts about that. It has
Yeah.
to me, but I'm
Yeah.
talking about things that are interesting to me. Like I don't
Yes.
follow the script. I can talk about what I want to talk about. But then I sometimes, not all of them, but some of them, I see them on their phones. I see them talking to each other, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And
And
yes,
then all of a sudden you think, what if it's only important to me and not,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
there's no value to my audience. So, your job is to show that it is important to you,
Mhm.
and it's
Oh.
up to them if it's important to them or not, right? So you take the courage to go up there and say, hey, I have something that is important to me. I hope it's also important to you. You know, that is all you can do. Another thing, if there's something that you are afraid of, is to think of, okay, what problem could my audience have here that I'm a solution for? All right. So answer the question, why do you think this is important to your audience? Of course, you also should answer the question, why is it important to you? But also, why should this be important to your audience? Because this helps you in your preparation to choose what examples will you choose. Yeah, so not only pick your own perspective, but also think of, hey, who is actually my audience? Why do I think this could be of value for them?
Mhm.
And then maybe if you have answered this question for yourself on forehand, the fear of it not being the case is a bit less.
Mhm.
And all you can do is, share your expectations of why you think this is important to them as well. Interaction is also something that can help in moments like that. Yeah, so actively get involved with your audience, ask them questions, have them ask you questions, because then they get more involved.
And do you have any like formulas for asking these questions? Because I can't ask like any questions because then obviously everyone is just like,
Yeah. The worst question you can ask is any questions.
Yeah.
Because any questions is very broad and you don't feel activated on asking a question. So
calling out names.
that might be a bit too aggressive. So a question very much connected to your message is a good question, right? So I could ask you, does any one of you know behavior that you show in a nervous situation that you want to have an active suggestion for?
Mhm.
That is an active question that activates you on thinking of it because it is connected to what we're talking about. And then you start to think, what behavior do I show? Actually, I do this. Maybe I want an answer for that. That activates you because it's more specific.
Mhm.
Yeah, so dare to ask specific questions to your audience.
Yeah,
And
that's a very good tip.
super important, be curious about the answer. What I see a lot in presentations that they ask questions. How many of you came by bike to this presentation today? I don't know, 10 people raised their hands, I don't know. And then, bike riding is important. You haven't done anything with the answer. So this is false interaction. So if you want to know how many people actually came by bike, you say, okay, so it's 10 out of 50. Interesting, because where I was yesterday giving this talk about bike riding, it was actually 50-50. How come do you think not so many people in this company go by bike? I don't know, but do something with the answer. Then people really get involved, and then it's not this false interaction, and then it just becomes a trick, and people immediately feel that, and then they get less engaged. But I think audience engagement is a good thing if you have the feeling of losing them, not sure if they also feel the same way like you. You can keep on pushing, but what if you let them in and open up to them? Could be interesting, I think.
For me, it's a very big difference between talking to people my age, like my colleagues. I have no issue with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then talking to people who are 19 years old, it's So,
Yes. And why do you think that's the difference?
I mean, their attention span and they just don't listen. Like they listen differently. It's I guess I don't know. Grown-ups and people I work with are I don't know. We all agree that this is like the formula. We have meetings.
They're more polite.
But also I think we generally, I mean, if you work at university, like you better like this job because it doesn't really pay. So everyone is there because they like it. And then students are there because they need to get their degrees. So it's a different motivation also, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and you feel this I notice I also been working at universities and with school kids and everything, and you feel they're not interested. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
like
this is
because it's obligation.
it's obligated, and they're not. Yeah. And I don't think you can always change this.
Yeah.
But you can try to again hook into their world and discuss with them why it could maybe potentially also matter to them. Yeah? And not only because you are the expert on this and you say this and you right, but you can also think, okay, why could this be interesting to you? Let's connect it to your world and what you are working on. That's always what I try to do, working with non-motivated people.
Yeah.
See where's what I have to offer, where is it linking to their experience, and maybe we can start from there instead of only starting from my perspective.
That's very good tip. Thanks.
But it can be it doesn't build up confidence if nobody's interested in what you're saying. I get that, and everybody's obligated to be there. Yeah. But don't underestimate the power of your own passion. So if you show it, it is like contagious. Your motivation is contagious through them. So that's always the best start. Yeah, start with your own motivation, but also try to get them see the relevance in their world.
Nice. Thanks.
So we are already out of time. 1 hour on nervousness and panic and anxiety when speaking in public. So there's not one answer, I would say, to getting rid of nervousness, but it is, I think mainly it is getting in control of that situation by preparing the why, have that as your security anchor, preparing your delivery by practicing out loud, training your instrument, getting in control of your instrument, and knowing what to do when nervousness kicks in to see it as excitement and start using the energy, start movement, start flowing. That would be my main points.